What is happening, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ty from Ty Drives, and sitting in front of us is the all-new redesigned 2025 Nissan Murano, and this one is in the SL trim, so not the base, not the top of the line, right in the center of the trim line. And we're going to check out all the features this new Murano has to offer. We're going to start on the outside, check out what powers this Murano, because this is an all-new powertrain, both engine and transmission for this new generation. We'll also check out how much storage space we have in the trunk. Then we'll check out how much room and amenities we have in the rear seats, and finally all the goodies in the front seats. Now, trust me, there is a lot of goodies on this new Murano. I really do like this car. And in case you're wondering, we are also going to take this for a test drive in a completely separate video, so make sure you take a look out for that one coming up. And let's get straight into it here on the front with all the features on the exterior. Now, first good place to start is kind of at our headlamps, where we have two separate units. So at the top we have our LED row. We have 3 LED bulbs for your high and low beams. And then in a completely separate unit, kind of blending in with the grille, we have our LED turn signal indicators and also our LED daytime running lights. So it looks really good, all illuminated. Really like this kind of flowy style with these kind of wings out on the front grille here. Now at the top, we have this kind of glossy black portion that connects the headlights, and we have the Murano logo right here. Pretty cool styling element. And taking a walk back, the exterior color is nice and metallic-y. It is called Gun Metallic. Just below our Nissan emblem, or I guess incorporated into it, we have a front camera. This car does have a 360 camera setup, and again, nice grille up top. We have our sensors for some of the assist systems at the bottom and your parking sensors up front. Taking a look at the side, we have a nice upright hood that kind of curves down into that glossy black strip, but kind of sharp corners going into the fender, which is cool, and some outlines for the wheels. Now, speaking of the wheels, we have 20-inch wheels set up here with painted in glossy black. Now, this wheel choice has this kind of aero covers, and they're plastic, so it kind of gives it a little bit of design and I guess a little bit more aerodynamics. And the tires measure up at 255/55. Taking a look down the side, we have some chrome, some glossy black, namely on the mirrors and the B-pillars. The glossy black and the chrome kind of goes all the way, kind of follows the roofline into the base of the trunk glass. Up top, we have a panoramic roof with your shark fin antenna, and back to our mirrors, they do have turn signal indicators, cameras at the bottom for the 360 view, also blind spot warning. Our door handles have smart key entry for both the front door handles, so we just tap to lock or unlock. The rear windows have a nice tint to them. And the fuel doors on the driver's side, and it's a capless design. Rounding it out to the rear is kind of maybe one of my favorite design elements on this car, and that is the new rear light bar. And the way they shape these lights is just really, really neat. Take a look at it all illuminated, kind of all the way across, but all the lights back here are LED, so the tail lights, turn signals, and the brake lights, again, all LED bulbs. We have parking sensors back here too. We have some kind of flat black trim, also some body colored trim down here as well, and Murano spelled out across the tailgate in these huge, huge letters. We also have our SL badge, all-wheel drive badging, and right at the top of our Nissan emblem, we have this little button to pop the trunk, and just below the trunk lid, we have the camera, again, for reversing, or the 360. And before we go any further, I'd like to give a huge thanks to my friends at Crabtree Nissan in Middlebury, Connecticut, for allowing me access to this very nice Murano for filming purposes. And I wanted to extend the next question out to our audience. What do we think of the styling on the new Nissan Murano? I want to hear your thoughts. Put them right down there in the comments. What do you say we check out the powertrain next? So, under the hood, I believe is a Murano first. We have no more V6 anymore, and in place is more efficient 2-liter turbocharged inline 4-cylinder engine. And even more surprisingly, this engine is hooked up to a 9-speed automatic, not the Nissan traditional CVT or continuously variable transmission. So two very big departures on this new Murano, and I'm very, very anxious to see how this drives. Since I have driven the old or outgoing Murano, and I know how that V6 and the CVT transmission performs, I'm very excited to see how this one drives, and we'll kind of get an acceleration test on our test drive to see how it does. So definitely make sure you stay tuned to that video. But as far as numbers go, yes, we do have a 2-liter turbocharged inline 4-cylinder, and it's good for 241 horsepower, 260 pound-feet of torque. Definitely some pretty healthy numbers. Not quite as healthy as the old V6, but in lieu of that heavy V6, the turbocharged 4-cylinder is a little bit lighter. Now, this particular one, being the SL trim, is all-wheel drive, so SL and Platinums will come standard with all-wheel drive, and the SV, the base model, will actually come standard with front-wheel drive, optional all-wheel drive, and as I said before, 9-speed automatic transmission. And in case you were deciding to tow a smaller trailer, you certainly can with your Murano, as it's rated to tow a maximum of 1,500 pounds. What do you say we take a listen to this engine from the outside at the tailpipes? So, the tailgate on the Murano is, of course, fully powered. And the Murano is a really good sized vehicle. It's slightly bigger than the Rogue, a little bit smaller than the Pathfinder. But we do have 2 rows of seating, which means there's no kind of third row to take up a lot of space. So in return, you have a lot of trunk space, a lot of cargo space. So as you can see, nice carpeted floor mats back here. We've even got some liners on the backs of the seats. You could fold the seats at a 60-40 split, and there's even handles back here to do so to either side. As you can see, there's child seat anchors, also anchors for cargo towards the backs of the seats and on the inside. And to either side, you have these nice little cubbies too, so you could put some things and they won't move around too much. You also have lighting to either side and little anchors for a privacy shade. Underneath our carpeted mats, we also have a pretty good size spare tire. Take a look at that. That almost looks full size to me. And we also have the subwoofer for the Bose audio system back here. Once we're done the trunk, we have 2 options. We can close the trunk and lock the doors and walk away, or we can just close the trunk. Okay, so at first glance, the interior is going to be with the rear seats, and they are both roomy and comfortable. And what we're looking at is the graphite leatherette interior, so kind of a black leather interior. And the materials on the door are actually very nice. So we have soft touch all the way up here with some contrast stitching. We have this kind of textured plastic trim, a little bit of glossy black around your window switch, nice soft armrest with some more contrast stitching. We also have a 9-speaker Bose audio system in the SL trim and a bit of storage for the rear seats. Now the rear seats themselves, take a look at them. They are pretty much a couch back here. They are extremely comfortable. We have miles of padding here, and it's very soft. Nice grain to the leatherette, almost looks like a real leather seat. We have some contrast stitching at the bottom, some at the top too, and fixed headrests. But overall, pretty basic seats in this car, but they get the job done. They're nice and comfy. We can also fold down the seats with this little latch right here, and as you can see, they fold down completely flat with the cargo area, so you can easily slide things in and out. We also have the child seat anchors at the bottom, and if I can reach my hands in there, a couple of cup holders and a kind of prop to set up your phone. Nice panoramic roof, and we're going to hop in quick so you can see how much room a guy like me has in the back seats. Now, I'm 5'10", and I adjusted the seat kind of a little bit further back than where I usually drive, just for filming purposes. But take a look. I have at least 3 inches of legroom. I have a nice kind of upright seating position. I have air vents back here, 2 USB-C connections, and a flat central portion, so there's no real drivetrain or exhaust hump going on back here. So you could definitely fit a third person back here pretty comfy. We have these quarter windows back here to aid in visibility for the driver. Nice light headliner, grab handles, and some lighting too. And a nice view above and forward. What do you say we check out the front next? All right, here we are at the main event. We'll kind of focus on the driver's door, the seat, the left of the dash, just for the moment being, then we'll hop inside. Again, nice materials up here, same as the back, nice soft uppers and kind of mid to the doors. Now, as far as functionalities, controls, we have 2-person memory, part of the SL trim for the driver's seat. And we also have all of our mirror controls, lock, unlock, window adjustments, window lockout. And with this pretty cool kind of metal looking trim. Now, I'm not sure if it's picking it up on camera, but it's kind of got this appearance to it where it changes colors. It actually reminds me kind of like an oil slick in the ocean. I hate to use that kind of terminology, but it kind of changes colors like that. It's pretty neat, and you could find that trim on the doors in the front and the dashboard. Pretty cool. Now, on the left of the dash, we have this nice big air vent. We also have a couple of controls to turn on your Pro Pilot Assist, your heated steering wheel, and to open up your hatch in the rear. And a couple of other things right down here for your auto hold function and your electronic parking brake. You can also release your hood down here. We have some nice all-weather floor mats installed in this particular car. And one last thing I wanted to point out while I'm down here is the release for the tilt and telescoping steering wheel. Pretty good looking seats, but again, just like the back, they are fairly basic in design, but very functional in comfort. These seats are just ultra plush and soft, and they're fully customizable and adjustable with 2-way lumbar. Okay, now we can hop inside and go over all the new technology. So, now that we're finally seated inside the new Murano, you could get a good look at the full kind of dashboard layout here with a very good vertical setup with some cool looking trim like you saw before. Stitching on the dashboard, a nice integration of climate controls too. You can't even see them when the car is not on. But here goes the key. We have that newer style Nissan key with the logo up top. Remote start. We have the lock, unlock, trunk opening, the panic alarm, and then we also have a little switch back here to release a physical key. And this key actually has a little bit of a weight to it, so there's a little bit of quality built into that key there. Now, of course, we have push button start, which is right down here next to the climate controls. And that'll give us a nice little welcome chime in a preview at the kind of double screen setup that we have here. But first things first, let's take a look at this steering wheel, which is wrapped in nice smooth leather. We have stitching on the inside and pretty intuitive setup of controls. Now, the controls themselves are all glossy black, which I'm not a huge fan of because it's prone to dust, fingerprints, and all that good stuff. But if you don't mind that, this is a really great setup for steering wheel controls. Basically, how it works is over here we have all of the cruise control settings as well as your assist systems, which you can customize, turn on and off. And then we also have your audio volume down here, and it's kind of almost like a capacitive touch sort of system where you can kind of just tap it and the whole kind of panel moves and makes the adjustment that you want. On this side here, we have a lot more stuff going on, such as your voice commands, skipping between different radio stations, and most of this is for the screen right in front of us, as well as controlling that screen, which is pretty cool. Now, the way that works is we'll see we have 2 buttons right here. As you can see, kind of like this side is filled in. This means we'll be controlling this screen right here. Now, if we press the other side, that means we'll be controlling some functionalities on that screen. Very cool that they give you that option, so you can kind of go into the maps, all that good stuff, into the radio. So pretty cool setup there. I really like how they did that. just so you don't have to reach all the way over there to touch it while you're driving, just a little bit easier. But let's take a look at what's right in front of us here with this screen. Now we kind of are going to use these 4 quadrants and the scroll wheel as well as the back button to adjust what we see. Now if we go to let's kind of get to our home screen to start off. Now this is kind of our home screen, which I really like. They give you kind of 2 different home screens to choose from. You can go up and down to kind of more of a basic setup, more traditional kind of tachometer, what gear you're in, what mode you're in, your speedometer, your fuel gauge, and kind of this is still empty. But then you can go back to kind of a more advanced one with a compass, your driver's assist, what's playing on the radio. So it's a really cool gauge setup in its kind of home fashion. Now if you go over, you can go to kind of your trip computers, and there's 2 kind of trip A, trip B, and then you can also see like an instantaneous fuel economy. Moving over to the kind of vehicle information screen, we have the tire pressures, start stop indicator, also your 4x4 controls or all-wheel drive settings. We also have the Google Maps built in, which is awesome, and you can kind of get either a compass with your driver's assist or the Google Maps setup, which is really cool. And it'll also kind of give you your basics to the other side, which is cool. If we scroll over, we could see a radio menu right there. All of your driver's assists, so kind of what's active, what's going on with each. And you could scroll down to see kind of the adaptive cruise settings and speed side, kind of road sign recognition. And then we also have some settings you can go through. That pretty much does it for this gauge cluster. Very nicely customizable, but not overwhelming to the point where you have so many menus you can get lost and there's so many different views. But I really like Nissan's new gauge cluster. Now, some other steering wheel related things is we also have paddle shifters, since remember, this is a 9-speed automatic instead of the Nissan's traditional CVT transmission. So you give you the option to shift manually. Now on the back side is where you'll find controls for your automatic high beams, your headlights, and your turn signals. And to the other side, your front and rear wipers. Now the upper dash is kind of mostly nice and soft to the touch material, and that brings us down to our screen. Now for the basic functionalities of this screen, I'm going to be using it just as a touch rather than using it here, but just keep in mind you can do so. We have shortcuts to the side over here and at the bottom for kind of basic menus, kind of settings, climate control, all that good stuff. Now we'll kind of go into the maps, which again is a Google Maps setup, very easy to use. Lots of cars are going towards the system just because it's so good. We have voice commands within the Google Maps, and we can also type in your destination right there. If we go back to home, we kind of have what's playing on the radio. Now if you click that, it's a really nice view, kind of with all your presets at the bottom, and you can also change the source. Going back, we have our phone connections. Moving over, we can, this is where we can kind of easily hook up our phone with the wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, or through Bluetooth if you want. You can also sign into different profiles. As you can see, we're just a guest right now, but once you kind of get in this car, own it, and you can kind of set up your settings the way you like. This apps menu is pretty cool here. It kind of pulls up your last used apps and kind of makes them readily available. And if we scroll over, we have a couple of other things, such as the Amazon Alexa built in. Now that is not it for this screen here. Trust me, there's a lot more. We could press this kind of little 4-quadrant button and kind of get a jumbulation of all your different apps right here, so you can see them. You don't have to scroll through a bunch of menus to see them all. Now we also have the Google Assistant right here, your phone, music, and the maps. Down here we have kind of notifications. We have pretty intricate settings here, which you go through general settings, vehicle settings, all that good stuff. And then we also have some quick settings, which will adjust the brightness on the screens, kind of toggle on and off the vehicle hotspot, put the screens into like day and night mode, and then you can also adjust the speakers as well. Down here we have our climate control. Now a good chunk of the climate controls are down here in a kind of physical format, but there are a couple things you need to go through the screen to use, such as your heated seats and heated steering wheel. So this car does have heated seats in the front. Cooled seats are available on the Platinum model, but unfortunately you have to go through the screen tap that little icon and then turn your heated seats or heated steering wheel on. So that's a little bit of a letdown. I wish there was some physical controls for that, just to quickly tap on and off for the steering wheel and heated seats, but that is the way Nissan did it. We also have a kind of dedicated climate control menu right here too, where you can adjust the temperatures, turn on your seats, heated steering wheel, and things like that from this menu as well. You can also adjust the climate control and the zones of air, so where the air comes out. Now that's really, as far as the climate control itself, that's really the only button you don't have in physical format, is to adjust the airflow. But otherwise, it's all right down here. That pretty much does it for the touchscreen. Again, excellent, just like your driver's information display. I really like the setup of this screen. It seems like Nissan really has a good grab at their technology as far as screens go. Now down here we have a pretty nice looking kind of area with this large volume knob. We have the hazards and kind of skipping between different radio stations on either side of it. And we have this cool glossy black panel that says Murano, and it's kind of simulated wood trim, and within that wood trim are your climate controls. So we kind of, if we press it in, we kind of get this haptic feedback, which is pretty cool, and it'll show you what you're doing right at the bottom of the climate control. But we have defrosters, fan speed, automatic and recirculating down here, and also dual zone climate control for this car. So pretty cool looking setup in kind of center console area here. Down just below the climate controls, we have kind of our phone area with a wireless charging pad and 2 USB-C chargers. We also have our gear selector, so just basic buttons. Interesting setup for that. I wish it was kind of more of a traditional like gear lever or stalk or something like that. These buttons kind of blend in a little bit, but I guess once you get used to the car, you know exactly where they are. But of course, we have the traditional park reverse, which has this car has an excellent 360 degrees camera system, which we have in reverse. We could see the reverse in camera and the top down. Nissan was kind of like the pioneer of the 360 camera. They had this system way back in like 2007, 2008, something like that. It is here in this Murano. Now we can switch camera views too, so that we can see the front and the two sides, so the wheels, which is pretty cool. And then we can also switch to the rear view, and we also have a kind of a 3D view as well. Now if we put it into drive, this might allow us to see, yes, here we go. So here is the 3D view. Very, very neat. Lots of cars are coming out with this, and Nissan also has it now, which is very, very cool. Allows you to see all the surroundings, all the cars around us. And there's a couple other pretty cool camera views, such as this one, where if you kind of drive, you could see the road ahead of you, which is very, very neat. Very cool camera systems. I like, again, what Nissan is doing with the camera systems as well. We also have the, typical neutral drive, and if you tap drive again, it'll go into the manual shifting mode. Pretty cool. Speaking of modes, we have this kind of driving mode selector right here. We have 3 driving modes: Sport, Standard, and Eco. Pretty cool. We also have a couple of other buttons down here to turn off your auto start stop, and also to put the parking cameras on at any point, which is pretty cool. A couple of cup holders and a storage area down here, and a pretty cool soft to touch center console, which you tap this little button here, it'll pop right open for you, and there's quite a bit of space in there. Just no real kind of connections or anything besides the 2 USB-C connections. Now, one thing underneath this center console area is it's all open because it's an electronic shifter. There's nothing actually going down into the transmission. You actually have a full open kind of area where you could put things like bags or larger items. So pretty cool. Nice use of materials in here too. Like I said before, we have the nice kind of metal look design with some chrome trim, glossy black, and that kind of simulated wood trim. Now, one thing I do have to say is kind of a letdown is the sheer amount of gloss black in this car. Now, I am the kind of person where I'm kind of a clean freak. Like, I'm not at that level where I'm like totally a clean freak, but kind of am, if you know what I mean. But glossy black, as you know, a person like me would kind of be my enemy. I really had to kind of clean this car up before filming, just because there was so much dust, fingerprints, things like that. It's already getting fingerprints just from me touching around. But that is one letdown, at least for me, of this interior. Now, don't get me wrong, it looks awesome when it's brand new and clean, but it won't stay clean for long. That's the thing. Now, if we're looking at the passenger area, we have a nice lockable glove box, pretty sizable. We can see the owner's manuals are in there, and we have no problem fitting other things as well. Up top, we have a lighter headliner, so kind of a gray color, and our visors have the light, card holder, and mirror. Up here, we have a nice large sunroof, and with a sunshade, of course, and the right control will control the sunshade. And the left control will kind of control the sunroof movement itself, so the kind of back and forth or sliding and the tilt. And once that open, a nice amount of light is let in. The rear portion is noticeably bigger, and the front portion is kind of the opening portion there. A couple of other quick things at our center stack here. We have some emergency buttons. We also have some tap illumination, which is all LED, and a place to put your sunglasses. We have our passenger airbag indicator and our rear view mirror, which is auto dimming. Now that pretty much does it for all the features on the redesigned and all new 2025 Nissan Murano in the SL trim. Who is ready for a test drive next? I know I certainly am, to see how this 2-liter turbocharged inline 4 and traditional automatic transmission does. Two things that are kind of foreign to the Murano. We'll see how that does on the driving, so make sure you stay tuned, stay with us, and I thank you very much for watching this video.